The UFC went crazy yesterday, announcing 4 new big matchups. The return of Rafael Fiziev and Mateusz Gamrot, which is going to be a 5-round main event. I can't wait for it. Classic striker versus grappler matchup. We also have the return of one of the best, most dynamic strikers in the game, but unfortunately, he's a little bit older. He's been out for a while. That's Giga Chikadze. He's going to be coming back to fight Alex Caceres. And get this, we're only a month out because that's going to be on the Singapore card, headlined by Max Holloway and TKZ. And we also have the return of no other than Bryce Mitchell and Dan Ige. And this is the first fight Bryce Mitchell's coming back after that whooping that Ilia Topuria gave him. Dan Ige, we know that this guy has a ton of power in his hands, but how is his grappling going to stack up against a guy like Mitchell who can impose his will? We'll get to that. And the last fight, Edson Barboza and Sodiq Yusuff. I can't wait for this fight. Classic passing of the torch type of battle, but let's just get to the first one, the main event, the lightweight bout, the marquee division in the UFC, Rafael Fiziev and Mateusz Gamrot. This is basically a battle for who gets to crack the top 5 next, okay? And when this fight was first announced, guys, I was thinking, okay, it's a 5-rounder. Mateusz Gamrot has a ridiculous pace. He's not Merab, he's not like an alien, but he's still a guy that's going to not be deterred if he gets a couple of his takedowns stuffed. He's a chain wrestler, and he's just got a relentless ability to just shoot tons of takedowns. The thing is, though, even though Gamrot's got a crazy pace, and we've seen Rafael Fiziev slow down in a lot of matchups, because think about it like this, when Fiziev is out here just blowing his wad early, he tends to level off a little bit. He tends to slow down. His strikes become a little bit more labored. The power, the sting at the end of those shots decreases. But you have to think about when that happens. It's happening against other strikers. So this is kind of what I'm going to get to. Fiziev against guys like Gaethje, against guys like Bobby Green, he's more hasty in these matchups. He wants to come out the gates, guns blazing, to try to prove a point, to set the record straight that I'm the better striker, that I can go tit for tat with you, I can match you with anything. And I don't think he's going to bring that same kind of style into a fight with a grappler. If you look at his last matchup with a guy that was really trying to take him down like RDA, who was actually trying to commit to some of these takedowns, we saw a much more patient Fiziev. And I also think he went into that matchup knowing that it's a 5-rounder, knowing that he has to pick his shots and be very wise. And I liked his approach a lot. And when we have a patient Rafael Fiziev that's picking his shots, that's not trying to just flood his opponent with tons of volume to try to just break them right off the bat and try to prove a point, I think we're going to see a guy that can carry his quick twitch ability and power later into the rounds. And when it comes to Gamrot, he is pretty decent on the feet, but he still gets rocked in every single one of his fights. He got dropped by Guram Kutateladze in their fight. He got dropped by a spinning back fist by Arman Pillow Hand Saryukian. I know he doesn't have pillow hands, but he doesn't have a lot of power. And he got dropped twice by Jalen Turner. And the thing is, I think that a guy like Fiziev is going to be harder to take down than Jalen Turner because of how stubby he is. He's a short, stocky, stubby guy. He's a stubborn person to take down. And I genuinely think that in order to get to Fiziev, he's got to close that distance. But like Fiziev has these like really tight hooks, these nasty hooks on the inside. And a guy like Mateusz Gamrot, he leaves his chin open. He's very hittable on the feet. He's not the most defensively sound guy. Now, to be fair, even though he doesn't have the best chin, he has a great ability to recover because of his cardio, sort of like a Colby Covington. We've seen Colby get dropped and then immediately recover and just get right back into the fight. I think the way that this fight is going to go down is we're going to see a patient Fiziev, and because he's not going to go out here trying to flood the nervous system of Mateusz Gamrot and try to prove a point because he knows that Mateusz is going to try to take him down throughout the fight, I think Fiziev's going to be catching him with these tight hooks on the inside, maybe uppercuts, knees in the clinch. And I think the way that Fiziev wins this fight is by out-damaging a guy like Gamrot and dropping him in a couple of rounds. Maybe finding a finish. He could be the first guy to go out there and finish Gamrot. But because Gamrot's got such a good ability to recover, I'm going to pick Fiziev by decision, and I think it's going to be like a 49-46 type of fight. Maybe he gets a 10-8 round here or there just by dropping Gamrot and out-damaging him. And so I'm going to pick Fiziev. I think he's going to get it done, but we'll see. Mateusz Gamrot hasn't really shown the ability to hold people down and ground them. The last guy that he was able to finish or have a lot of success with on the ground was Jeremy Stephens, who was on the verge of retirement. That was an old former featherweight that, out of his prime, easier to manipulate on the ground. And that's the last guy he submitted. I know he's a high-level ADCC guy, but at the end of the fucking day, dude, the ADCC shit doesn't really mean a whole lot in MMA. I mean, Gilbert Burns, high-level former jiu-jitsu guy and hardly ever finishes people or does anything to them on the ground. Now, of course, Mateusz Gamrot is legit. I respect his skill set. I respect his grappling. He can take people down. He can wear people out over the course of 5 rounds. He's got a great gas tank, but I do not think he has the ability to hurt Fiziev on the ground, to really do anything with the takedowns, because Fiziev is a stubborn, stocky guy that's going to really make him work, and that's kind of easy to spring himself back up to his feet. And although Mateusz Gamrot's decent on the feet, he's actually got some good weapons. He's got some, high output ability. I'm going to go with Fiziev to outdamage him up there. So I'll pick Fiziev by decision. On to the next one. Giga Chikadze, I just rewatched his fight with Edson Barboza. And I just have to say this, bro. Alex Caceres. If the same Giga Chikadze shows up that fought Edson Barboza, Caceres is a dead man walking. And it's such a shame, dude, that this guy is now 34. He's about to turn 35. He will be 35, I think, on like the week of the fight with Alex Caceres. And who knows how he's going to look. He's coming off of a really damaging loss. Now, it's not like he just got completely obliterated and had nothing to offer against Calvin Kattar, but he had a lot of momentum going into that. And I think that was like a moment where he kind of got humbled a little bit. He was talking a little bit of trash. He was, peaking in confidence, and he was getting pretty cocky, and he took a shitload of damage, man. He got taken down in the first round. Calvin Kattar kind of slowed him down a little bit with that, took the wind out of his sails, and then just used that heavy pressure boxing style, the tough man style to walk him down and kind of just bully him. And we saw that if you can tire him out early, if you can basically make it a physical fight, he's not the same fast twitch, explosive guy afterwards. Whereas against Edson Barboza, Jesus, man, this guy is a fucking freak of nature. The dude was so fucking fast. Like, not only his kicks are insane, by the way. He outkicked Edson Barboza and was throwing flying knees in the first round, like basically out Edson Barboza, bro. And his hands are ridiculously fast too. It's not only his kicks. Is he going to look the same way with ring rust and, being out of the cage for such a long time? I don't know. That's why I'm kind of worried, but it's Alex Caceres. We have to keep this in mind. Caceres, he's not that great, man. He really isn't. I mean, he's okay. He's well-rounded. He's got a couple of submissions in his career, but he's more of a reactive submission artist. He's not really going and putting people on the ground. You know what I mean? He's more of a striker overall, and he just doesn't compare to Giga Chikadze when it comes to the speed. Giga Chikadze speed-mogged Edson Barboza, shut him down completely, outkicked him, outboxed him. He's got a nasty jab as well. He's so lethal and dangerous and fast twitch, but he's 35 and he's got ring rust. So I don't know if he's going to look as good as he looked on the night where he fought Edson Barboza and knocked him out in the 3rd round. Either way, Alex Caceres is also 35. He's not young either. He's not the same level of skill, speed as Giga Chikadze. So I'm going to pick Giga Chikadze to win this fight. I just hope that we see a guy that's somewhat similar to the one that we saw in the past, because it would be a damn shame if he's just wasted the last couple of years. And of course, he had to take a little bit of time off after the damage that he had taken in the Calvin Kattar fight. But I just would hate to see a guy that looks like a step below what he used to be. And that's very possible. Even if he does look a step below, I think he's going to beat Alex Caceres. I actually wouldn't mind him TKOing Caceres with like a body kick. This guy has some of the nastiest body kicks in the game. That's what he TKO'd, what's his name, Cub Swanson with as well. So I'm excited to see this fight. It's going to be fireworks for the fans. And let's get on to the next one. Bryce Mitchell and Dan Ige. All right, I'm going to go with Bryce Mitchell by decision. I think that if you look at Dan Ige's record, and he's very dangerous. He's got a lot of KOs. He's got a shitload of power. He's coming off of a really good win against, who's that guy? Nate the Train. You know what I mean? Nate the Train was someone that I picked to beat him, to kind of overwhelm him with volume. But you know what? Dan Ige has won me over, and he's actually starting to hit his peak. He's still in his early 30s. He had a rough early going in his career to where he was kind of taking a step up in competition too early against guys like TKZ and too early against guys like Edson Barboza. And I think he beat Barboza, but that was actually a bit of a robbery. The reason I'm going to go with Bryce Mitchell, even though he just fought a big power puncher that was able to hurt him in moments, Dan Ige, his hole is the grappling. Like, people that beat Dan Ige take it to him and put him on his back. Evloev took it to him, out-grappled him, and kind of mogged him on the ground with ferocity and tenacity. And who else beat Dan Ige by putting him on the ground? TKZ. TKZ took him down multiple times in their fight and just controlled him for, I think, like in the 3rd round or something like that. One of the middle rounds, he took Dan Ige down and just pinned him there for the entirety of the round and just out-grappled him. And I think that a guy like Bryce Mitchell that's able to stay composed on the feet, that at least has enough to offer to where he's not just going to be a sitting duck. Like Dan Ige didn't just go out there and KO Nate the Train. We've seen Nate the Train get rocked. Bryce Mitchell, we've seen him get rocked by Ilia Topuria, but Ilia Topuria moves forward, relentless pressure, and had no respect for Bryce Mitchell. Dan Ige's more of a counter striker. You know what I mean? That's what he was doing against Nate the Train that was trying to move forward. He's more of the countering kind of guy. And I think that we're going to see Bryce Mitchell wait for his moments, shoot a takedown, and kind of just out-grapple him and out-control him on the ground. And I really favor him in this matchup. It's only a 3-rounder. It's going to be on the same fight night as Rafael Fiziev and Mateusz Gamrot. And even though people like to shit on Bryce Mitchell's striking, again, dude, he's got some decent weapons. He's not all that slow. This guy dropped Edson Barboza. He's got something to offer up there. He's got really nice kicks as well. So I'm going to pick Bryce Mitchell to take Dan Ige down. He's got really good gas tank, but I don't think he's going to finish him because he doesn't really go out here and finish many people. He's not really able to do that much damage. He's just a very sticky kind of grappler that's hard to get rid of. So as soon as he starts taking Ige down, if he gets him down early, it's going to take the wind out of Ige's sails, and I think that he's just going to be a different guy in the 2nd and 3rd, and Bryce Mitchell's just going to get into a groove and out-grapple him. He's tough. He's young. Dan Ige's young too, but I do not think that this style favors him, especially a counter-striker going up against a very high-pressure grappler that at least has some things to offer on the feet. I'm going with Bryce Mitchell by decision, and we, of course, have Edson Barboza and Sodiq Yusuff. I just rewatched Edson's fight with Giga Chikadze, and you know what I also watched? I watched Alex Caceres' fight with Sodiq Yusuff just now, and bro, dude, I think Edson Barboza is still better than Sodiq Yusuff. You know, Barboza's 37. Okay, he's a little bit older, but he's coming off of a wicked KO against Billy Quarantillo. Sodiq Yusuff, he's a bit of a plodder, very ploddy, kind of stationary, and just tries to look for a big right hand to land and knock people out. And he's got really good low kicks, but again, we're talking about a guy that's going up against Edson Barboza. He's nowhere near as fast as someone like Giga that was able to shut down Barboza with kicks. And I think Barboza's going to outkick him. Barboza's going to be able to outstrike him on the feet because at the end of the day, Sodiq Yusuff is like, he's got a bunch of wins. He's only lost once in the UFC, but like, who the hell has he beat? He's coming off of a submission over this guy named Don Shanis, which was basically a can that filled in for Giga Chikadze on short notice, and he submitted him with a guillotine in the first 30 seconds, which was impressive, but like, that wasn't him taking this guy, Don Shanis, down and going for the submission. I think he had hurt him on the feet with a knee or something, and the guy fell into a submission. If you take Edson Barboza down, you could definitely beat him at this point in your career. And Sodiq Yusuff is strong. He's someone that has the youth advantage, but I don't think that's part of his game. I don't think he's going to go out here and do that. He's going to try to strike and knock out Edson Barboza, and it's not going to work out well for him because in order to do that, first of all, you have to be extremely durable and tough, and we've seen Sodiq Yusuff get rocked around and dropped multiple times in his career, especially by Arnold Allen. And I think that Edson Barboza, although he's not as fast as Arnold Allen, he's going to be able to find those shots. He's going to be able to take away the legs of Sodiq Yusuff, to kick his body, to go to the body. And I ultimately think that you have to be a certain level of kickboxer to stand with Barboza. You have to have a certain kind of speed. And I do not think that Sodiq Yusuff's on that level. He is still, in my opinion, someone that isn't that impressive on the feet. I just think he doesn't really have anything that stands out that much. So I'm going to pick Edson Barboza to win that fight. I think he's going to outstrike Sodiq Yusuff and win that by decision. Let me know what you guys think of these fights in the comments. Until next time. What is up, guys? It's Lucas Tracy MMA here, and I want to let you guys know that I have something for you, and that's a real food cookbook. Because if you're walking around looking like Chris Dawkins, you got to get that weight off. I don't know if you think you're DC or something, but most people usually don't perform at their best when they're walking around with 30% body fat. So if you're trying to lean out and you still want to eat good, tasty comfort foods, well, you could check out my Real Food Cookbook because I've made it a purpose to have good, tasty foods that you can still eat just without all the processed bullshit, without all the processed ingredients like soy and seed oils. So guys, check out the Real Food Cookbook. Use code MMA for 30% off. The link is in my description. Don't forget that discount.